Hi Krishna everyone, welcome to the weekly Bhagavad Gita chapter summary series. Today we will be discussing the chapter summary for chapter number 10, and the title of chapter number 10 as per Bhagavad Gita as it is the opulence of the absolute. Okay. So what is the meaning of the word opulence? Opulence in Hindi is Aishwarya, which means some great qualities or some great assets, right? So today's code, like every week, we make some code for each chapter. So today's code is assets, ASSETS, okay, where A stands for Arjuna's benefit, S stands for speaks further, S stands for source of everything, E stands for essence of Bhagavad Gita, the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, T stands for tell me more, and S stands for see Krishna everywhere. I'll repeat. A. Arjuna's benefit. S. Speak further. S. Source of everything. E. Essence of Bhagavad Gita. T. Tell me more. And S. See Krishna everywhere. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts. So today's chapter number 10 has been subdivided into 6 different parts, which we can summarize as assets. ASSETS. Why assets? Because the name of the chapter is Opulence of the Absolute, and opulence means assets. So the previous chapter revealed the science of bhakti, or loving devotion service. We discussed how important it is to do whatever we do for the Lord with lot of love, loving devotion, and not just as a matter of duty. So chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita is a very important chapter because of course there is the 4 most important shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, which we normally know it as Chaturshloki, right? So that is there in this chapter. That is why it's important. And also because this is like the climax of the entire movie. So the conversation that is going on between Krishna and Arjun is the climax there. Because it brings us to the central main teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. We discuss that the more we go to the center of the book, the more we go closer to the treasure which is saved in the center of the book, right? So here it is, the treasure is saved. So, this chapter begins with Krishna saying, there's a shloka over here which says, O mighty armed Arjuna. So, Krishna is addressing Arjuna as mighty armed. And then Krishna says to Arjuna, because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall give you the knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. So, Krishna has explained a lot many things up so far till chapter 9, right? But now he's saying, I will give you some knowledge which is even better than all these 9 chapters where I have told you. And why Krishna is telling this? Because Arjuna is a very dear friend of Krishna. And that is why, for the benefit of Arjuna, Krishna is saying. But we all know that although Krishna has spoken the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, actually it is more for one and all of us, because Arjuna is just role playing over here as he's bewildered, as he's confused and lost in life, which is actually our status. So, for our benefit, Krishna is gonna tell something more than what he has already explained in the previous chapters. So, in this way, Krishna will tell in this chapter first what he will say is how he is the source of everything. Like whatever is existing, okay, in the world, that comes from Krishna. That means Krishna is the source of everything. And what are the examples that he lists when he says everything? Because everything includes everything, but he's gonna touch base on some of the things he's gonna list. So, like for example, demigods and sages, they also come from Krishna. The various qualities of the living beings, like let's say we see in our friends, in our colleagues, some qualities. What kind of qualities we see in each other? We might see, oh, somebody is very intelligent, wow. Or we might see somebody is very knowledgeable, or somebody is never confused, he's very clear in his mind, so he has freedom from doubt and delusion. Somebody is very forgiving, or somebody is very truthful, say very honest, okay. Or we see, or some people have real good control of mind and senses, huh? So in this way, all these qualities that come, Not only the good one, but also the negative one. Everything comes from Krishna. And then he also mentions about the seven great sages, and before them, the four other great sages that came, and the Manus, like the origin of the human evolution. All of that comes from Krishna. So, this is how he's saying that he is the source of everything, and he is going to speak this knowledge for whose benefit? For the benefit of Arjuna, and which is ultimately us. And now he's saying that he's the source of everything. Then E stands for essence. Essence of Bhagavad Gita is in this chapter, which is shloka number 8 to shloka number 11, 10.8 to 10.11. As most of us may be knowing that these four shlokas are also known as Chatur Shloki Bhagavad Gita, right? So we'll go, because this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, it's so important. We will go through them one by one. So we'll start with 10.8. If anybody knows these shloka, can chant together, you can unmute yourself, you can speak on mute, however you might feel comfortable. So I will chant and I will repeat. 10.8. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, aham sarvasya prabhavo, matah sarvam pravartate, matah sarvam pravartate, iti matva bhajante mam, iti matva bhajante mam. बुद्धा भाव समन्विताः बुद्धा भाव समन्विताः. So 10.8 is aham sarvasya prabhavo matah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Okay, let's understand what is the meaning of this shloka. The first line is aham sarvasya prabhavo. Aham means I. So who's I over here? Who's speaking this shloka? Krishna. Krishna is saying I, aham, sarvasya. Sarva means of all, of everything. And prabhavo. Prabhavo means the source of generation from where these things come. So aham sarvasya prabhavo means I am the source of everything. Then in the next line he is saying Mataha sarvam pravartate. Mataha means from me, mujhme se, mataha. Again, sarvam means everything, all. Pravartate. Again, pravartate means originates or emanates. Okay. So again, he's saying the same thing. I am the source of everything. Everything emanates from me. He's emphasizing this again. Then third point, he's saying, iti matva bhajante mam. So knowing of this, those people, bhajante. Bhajante means to become devoted. Okay, to devoted. Devoted to whom? Bhajante mam. Devoted to Krishna. So those people who know this, who know what? That Krishna is the source of everything. And everything comes from Krishna. And knowing this, what these people do? Because they know this, they become devoted to Krishna. So what about these people who become devoted to Krishna, knowing that Krishna is the source of everything? What happens? Buddha bhava samanvitaha. The learned. Buddha means these people are very wise. They are learned people. Huh? And what they do? Bhava samanvitaha. So they do this devotion. They worship Krishna with great attention, with all their hearts. So the meaning of this shloka is basically Krishna is saying, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So somebody who knows this fact that everything comes from Krishna and Krishna is the source of everything, such a person is a wise person. And now what will he do once he knows this fact? He will engage in Krishna's devotional service and and worship Krishna with all his heart. This is what the wise people, learned people do once they understand that Krishna is the source of everything. Okay, so that's 10.8. Then moving on, 10.9. Machita matkata prana bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushayanti cha ramanti cha. That's 10.9. Machita madgata prana bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Let's understand the meaning of this one. Machitaha. Machitaha means mat. Mat means like mind. Okay, iski mat mari gayi hai, they say like that. So that means mind. Mat chitaha. So those mat chitaha, mat gata pranaha. So chit is heart, okay, and pran is life, okay. So the mind's fully engaged in Krishna and the life's fully dedicated to Krishna. Mat chitaha, mat gata pranaha. That's the meaning. Bodhayantaha. Bodhayantaha means to tell each other, to preach parasparam amongst ourselves. So what do? They preach amongst themselves. Who are they? The people whom we discussed in the previous shloka. Kathayantah, kathayantascha mam nityam. Okay, mam is again about me, which is Krishna. Nityam means eternally. Kathayantascha means again to talk. Kathayan, katha batate, like that. So kathayantascha means to talk. So talking about Krishna perpetually. Kathayantascha, talking. Mam, about Krishna. Nityam, eternally. Last line, tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Tushyanti means to be satisfied. La tushti mil gayi. That is to be satisfied, to become pleased. Ramanti, ramna. Ramna means to enjoy. Enjoy what? Transcendental bliss. That is where the word Ram comes from. Okay. To enjoy transcendental bliss. Okay. So that's tushyanti cha ramanti cha. To become pleased and to enjoy transcendental bliss. So what is the meaning of this shloka? It says the thoughts of, again, Krishna is saying, so when it comes me or my, it means Krishna, okay? The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So basically, he's talking about the devotees. That is what the pure devotees do. Their thoughts are always dwelling in Krishna, their lives are always fully devoted to Krishna's service, and they enjoy transcendental bliss. They get great satisfaction. How do they get that? By discussing, by talking about Krishna. And they keep enlightening each other, one another, each other by these topics of Krishna. Right? Then the third shloka of the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita is Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. Okay, what's the meaning of this shloka? Tesham satata yuktanam. Satata means always. That's a common word in Hindi also or Marathi also. Satat. So that's always. Yukta means to be engaged. So always engaged. तेषाम मीन्स वो कौन जो पहले दो श्लोका में जिसकी बात हुई तेषाम सतत युक्ता नाम दीज पीपल ऑलवेज एंगेज्ड भजताम प्रीति पूर्वकम भजताम भजना भजन करना okay, which means rendering devotional service. But how do they render devotional service? प्रीति पूर्वकम. किसके साथ? प्रीति के साथ. प्रीति के साथ, which means in loving ecstasy. बड़े प्रेम के साथ भजते हैं. They just don't render devotional service, but they render devotional service with a lot of loving ecstasy. Okay, so for these people, what Krishna does? How does he reciprocate? Dadami buddhi yogam tam. ददामी मीन्स टू गिव, देना. ओके, क्या देते हैं? बुद्धि देते हैं. सो दैट मीन्स ही गिव्स देम इंटेलिजेंस. व्हाट काइंड ऑफ इंटेलिजेंस डज ही गिव? द इंटेलिजेंस टू मेक अ लॉट ऑफ मनी or to advance in their career or to become big businessmen? No. Dadami yuddhi buddhi yogam tam. What kind of intelligence he is giving? He is giving the real intelligence. What is the real intelligence? Yena mam upayanti te. That intelligence which can be used for going back to Krishna. Yena mam upayanti te. To come back to me. Okay. So to those who are constantly devoted to serving Krishna with love, Krishna gives the understanding by which they can go back to Krishna. Okay, that's the third shloka of the Chaturshloka. And then the last one, Tesham evanukampartham aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayamyatma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. Tesham is again those people. those people which we discussed in the first two shlokas, who are continuously thinking about Krishna, who are continuously preaching about Krishna, whose lives are engaged in the service of Krishna, those people, okay? हाँ, उनका क्या है? अनुकंपार्थम. Anukampartham means to show them special mercy. Okay, to show them special mercy to these people, what does Krishna do? Aham ajnana jam tamaha. Aham means I. Ajnana jam mean ajnana. Ajnana means ignorance. Okay. Tamaha. Tamaha means like from tamaha means darkness, like the mode of darkness, tamagun. So tamaha means darkness or ignorance, like that. नाशयामी नाश कर देते हैं डिस्पेल टू इरेडिकेट टू डिस्ट्रॉय या नाश करना नाशयामी आत्म भावस्तो आत्म भाव मीन्स विथ फुल विद इन देयर हार्ट्स लाइक इनसाइड देयर हार्ट्स sto means situated and jnana deepena bhasvata so jnana means knowledge deepa means a lamp diya and bhasvata means glowing okay. So Bhaskar is basically sun, that is also glowing. So Bhaswata comes from that word. So what is the meaning of this shloka? Tesham evanu kampartham aham ajnana jam tamaha nashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. Meaning to show them special mercy. What Krishna does? Krishna, dwelling in their hearts, destroys. What does he destroy? The darkness born of ignorance. And what does he destroy this darkness with? With a shining lamp of knowledge. That is what he uses to destroy. So, the translation of this shloka is to show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So those are the four shlokas which are called as the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, which are the essence of Bhagavad Gita. So that with that we complete A, S, S, E, T. So now we come to T. T means tell me more. So here, after Krishna has told all this essence of Bhagavad Gita, then what does Arjuna says? He's like, tell me more, tell me more. He wants to know more and more. So in the next six shlokas, Arjuna is asking, like, asking Krishna to tell more and more about all these topics. He's not satisfied yet. So Arjuna tells to Krishna, O Janardhan, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you. He's not yet satisfied. For the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your goods. Normally, it's like that, right? In Krishna consciousness, also. The more we hear about all of these topics, the more we are inclined to hear. Then automatically the other things get reduced. Like we all must have experience that normally whenever we sit in a car to drive the car, so that time we had the habit of turning on the radio or some kind of mundane music, and then later when we started to hear these lectures or kirtans or bhajans, now the first thing after sitting in the car, if we want to hear something, is we want to play the kirtan or bhajan or some kind of a lecture. So the more we hear, the more we want to hear. So that is what Arjuna is telling to Krishna, that the more I hear about all of these things that you're telling me, the more I want to taste the nectar. And please tell me more. I am not satisfied yet. I'm not satiated in hearing about you. And then Krishna and Arjuna is also asking Krishna a question, very important question, which most of us have this. He says, how shall I constantly think of you? And how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered? So normally people ask that Krishna consciousness means to remember Krishna always, like 24/7, huh? To always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So people say, how can we remember Krishna always? Like, how can I continuously, constantly think of Krishna? And so Arjuna is asking this question, of course, for us. So let's see what Krishna has to give the answer here. So the last part of this chapter is 10.19 to 10.42, where Krishna is giving a response to the question that Arjuna had asked. Krishna describes over here some of the most important qualities, opulences over here. Because there are unlimited opulences of Krishna, So, because he's the source of everything, obviously. So, it's not possible that all the qualities, all the opulences will be described. So, at least some of these he is describing. Okay. And he's saying that these are just some of my unlimited opulences. And when we remember these opulences, when we see in our daily life these opulences, then we can actually think about Krishna and meditate on Krishna. And in this way, we can see him everywhere. Okay. So let's touch a few of these. One, he says, of the lights, I am the radiant sun. So there are different various lights, and out of that, there is sunlight. And that is, Krishna is saying, that is my energy. Then among the stars, he says, I am the moon. So whenever we see the sun, then we remember this is Krishna's energy. Whenever we see the moon now, we will remember that this is Krishna's energy. Of all the senses, I am the mind. Okay, so whenever our mind is not under our control, we know with whom we have to pray to, who is the origin, who is the source of this. In living beings, I am the living force, which is the consciousness, basically the living force because of which somebody is alive. So, as soon as the living force comes out of the body is still there, but the man is called as dead. What goes out is the living force, the consciousness, and that is Krishna's energy. Then he says, of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. So whenever we see any uh, deity of Shiva or any Shiva temple or the picture of Lord Shiva, we should be reminded that this is an energy of Lord Krishna. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of Wealth Kuvera. Not only demigods, we can also be reminded of Krishna by by seeing the Yakshas and Rakshasas also. So as we said in the beginning, that Krishna is the source of everything, be it good or bad. Then he says, of the Vasus, I am fire, Agni. So whenever you see fire, like whenever you turn on the gas, okay, or whenever you see any live fire, bonfire, then what can we think? That this is Krishna's energy. Of the bodies of water, I am the ocean. Okay, whenever we go to the beach, we can be reminded of Krishna. Of vibrations, I am transcendental Om. Okay, Om word comes in almost all the mantras. That's the first word in almost all the mantras, right? So therefore, in that way also we can remember that that is Krishna. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, japa. Needless to say. Of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Okay, for those who are trekking lovers. Anyways, it's winter. Many people are planning treks or already done. So, of mountains, he says, I am Himalayas. Whenever you see the mountain, you can remember him as Krishna. Okay. Of purifiers, I am the wind. Okay. Whenever you feel the wind, you can remember Krishna. Of letters, I am the letter A. Wherever you see letter A, you can be reminded of Krishna. So, like that, he has listed almost 82 opulences, and then still he concludes by stating that these are simply a hint. Like ये तो सिर्फ trailer था, picture अभी बाकी है. That this is not even the all the opulences of his unlimited opulence. This is just a small glimpse, like that he's saying. He himself is saying that, huh? That his glory, because he pervades and supports everything, the entire universe, just with a fragment of his energy, these 82 opulences are just like a glimpse, like a hint trailer. Okay. And it is not that Krishna is physically all these things. Krishna is the sun or Krishna is the moon. But rather, we have to understand it in a way that he's the source of the opulence of these things. Like when we see the sun, of course we can be reminded of Krishna, but we have to understand that this is basically the coming from Krishna, like that. So in conclusion, we can say that what is the crux of this chapter, what is in it for us, what do we have to take away from this chapter? We can see sometimes we know we people say people complain that they cannot see God. बोले पहले दिखाओ फिर मैं विश्वास करूं. I don't see God. How can I believe in him? You know. So in chapter 10, Krishna is explaining how someone can simultaneously perceive God as the source of the creation and also see God within the creation, because all these parts of the creation, the wind, the ocean, the sun, the moon, and so many other fire, all of this can remind us of the Lord. Of course, this requires a bit more than an intellectual understanding. You need a transformation of consciousness. If you just tell a random person, oh, you look at the fire and see, say it's Krishna, not everybody is going to believe you, because it needs some change of heart, it needs some change of consciousness. You need to develop that faith. And that revelation comes from within. Krishna acting as the Paramatma, sitting as a Paramatma in your heart, within your heart, is actually revealing himself in different ways. Even after listening to all these things, not everybody will be reminded of Krishna when they see the sun, moon, wind, ocean, fire, all these things, right? So some of us have heard this before also, but not always when we see these things we are reminded of Krishna. Why? Because internally Krishna is revealing himself. So chapter 10 basically teaches us that Krishna is not separate from our world. Everything that we see over here, whatever good things we see, whatever beautiful things we see, everything we need to understand is coming from Krishna. Even not so good things, also, we need to understand that everything is coming from Krishna. Why not so good things? What will happen if we understand that these not so good things are also coming from Krishna? Then we will stop considering them as not so good things, because it's coming from Krishna. How can it be bad? Then we will see. And everything that is happening in our life, also, every situation that comes to us, every challenge that comes to us, we know who's the source of this. It's Krishna, because he's saying, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. The situation itself is originating from Krishna. It's not happening without his sanction. So, therefore, obviously, we understand that this is something come to me from Krishna, meaning it has to be for my benefit only, because ultimately Krishna is the ultimate well-wisher of everyone. So there cannot be something not beneficial for me in this situation, if we remember that this situation is also coming from Krishna, right? So on that note, I will take a pause, I will stop the lecture over here, and I hope you will be able to see Krishna in more places throughout the week. And any situation comes in your life, always remember that it's coming from Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. If anybody has any comments, questions, doubts, please feel free to unmute yourself. Otherwise, we'll call it a session. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Hare Krishna.